Come to China has been a long-held ambition. China represents one of the most exciting and progressive markets for new money, for digital money. And of course, China is now the largest FinTech market in the world.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching Dukascopy TV. Today we've interviewed Mr. Patel, the head of content of Money 2020 event, to talk about the FinTech industry. We know that this event called Money 2020. Why is it called Money 2020? Can you tell us?
Sure. So it's about the vision of money. So in the Western world, 20 with a dash in the middle, basically means vision. And so for us, it's about the future of money.
Oh, okay.
And that's how we position the event. And it's specifically about how consumers and businesses spend their money, save their money, borrow money, manage money, share and protect money. And so we cover how these 6 simple things will change, not just today, how the changes are happening, but over the coming years.
So why to launch Money 2020 in China?
So that's very simple. I think for me, China is one of the most exciting and complicated markets in the world. It has obviously clearly over 1 billion population, 1.4 billion population. And so the consumer marketplace is phenomenal in terms of what some of the great companies are doing. So companies such as Ant Financial and Tencent are really changing the way people think about making payments and receiving payments. And it's pretty much the leading companies in the world in terms of the payment sector. So for us to come here was a natural choice to be able to understand what's going on in the marketplace, but to share that with the world, because there are so many exciting developments that the rest of the world doesn't know about China. And there are so many opportunities for Chinese companies to be able to expand into other markets, but also companies from overseas to come in and maybe partner with some of the large tech players such as Ant Financial, such as Ping An, but also Tencent.
It's just like a bridge between two sides, right?
Pretty much to open awareness and communication between different marketplaces, but there's a lot of interest in what's going on in China, and so we feel that by having an event here, we can showcase the best of China to the rest of the world and bring some of our communities from America, Europe, and also Singapore and the ASEAN region across to China.
Could you evaluate the development of Chinese FinTech industry?
Sure. So it's moving at a rapid rate. And so one of the things that I think is probably one of the most exciting trends at the moment is the convergence in a consumer's social life, retail life and financial life. And we're seeing all 3 things coming together, and they're being delivered by things such as WeChat Pay, but also Alipay. And so you can live your whole life in this one app. And I think that is unique anywhere in the world. So nowhere in the world is this happening. And I think for a consumer, it's perfect because you don't have to have one app to do one thing, one app to do another thing, or you don't have to go to the shops and continually have to go to the same places to buy things. So you can do things very conveniently in one place. And I think that is one of the major trends. The other trend that I'm seeing in the Chinese marketplace is around kind of super app models for banks. So the banks are beginning to wake up and realize in China that they need to be competing heavily with Ant Financial or at least trying to have similar level services. And at the moment, you have physical branches and they have a bank app, but nowhere can you do multiple things within one place. And we're seeing that trend beginning to occur, and companies such as even Ant Financial as well as Ping An are starting to provide these services to the banks. And so they have, separate propositions which are very advanced in terms of using cloud technology, but also using blockchain and artificial intelligence. And I think the advancements being made in these 3 areas in China is probably leading the way compared to the rest of the world. So that's a really, really good topic, I think. And in terms of blockchain, which I just mentioned, that there are a lot of startups that are beginning to scale blockchain solutions to the marketplace. And I think that is going to be something we're going to see a lot more of, as well as artificial intelligence, because the Chinese government has a mandate by 2030 to be one of the largest kind of I suppose, or one of the most superior markets in terms of applications of artificial intelligence. And so we're seeing kind of a great deal of activity in that space. So companies such as SenseTime is a great example. Certainly companies that are providing facial recognition. So I think China is leading the way in a number of areas, and FinTech is kind of one of the key proponents of that.
We know that this is the first time that Money 2020 came to China.
Yep.
And what makes it different from the ones that held in other countries?
Sure. So we have a number of events around the world. We have one in Las Vegas, and that event in America basically covers a lot of trends that are happening within the US market, because the US is advanced in some areas. Certainly if you look at Silicon Valley and New York, there's a lot of great activity and technology advancements, driven by companies such as Google and Amazon. And so we cover what they're doing in the marketplace. And we try to bring some of the communities across from other parts of the world to join in the discussion and debate around how can you launch products and services in the US, but what are the most innovative advancements that are going on. And so that's what we cover in the US. In Europe, we'll cover some of the trends, in particular around regulation, because there's lots of regulation in Europe. And so we'll have more of a European vibe to our Europe event. And then we have one in Singapore, and that covers quite heavily around the ASEAN region. So it covers some of the exciting developments going on in Indonesia, but then also countries such as India and Australia as well. And so there's a slight flavouring difference. So we'll always cover the topics within that region, and then we'll have a little bit more of a global feel to each of the events. But at its core, each of these events cover what's going on in that particular region of the world.
What's the future plan of Money 2020?
Sure. So we are focused on our 4 events. So our Vegas show is now quite a mature event, and that seems to have grown to a very nice scale. So we have, close to kind of 10,000, above 10,000 people coming from the US marketplace. Europe is, as we just had our year 3 show, so we're looking to grow that out and hopefully bring that in line with the scale that we've achieved in Las Vegas. And for our Singapore event, it's our first year was earlier this year, so next year it's still in its infancy, so we want to continue to grow that. But one of the markets we're most excited about is the Chinese marketplace. So we're hoping that for the China event next year, we're going to come back even bigger and better and bring even more companies to the table, because there are so many exciting changes going on in this marketplace.
Thanks for watching Ducascopy TV. This is Yi Ying Wang. I'll catch up next time.